We are most of the way through The Last of Us Season 2 now, and it only bothers me more and more with each episode how much they're butchering it. And no, I'm not talking about the obvious here. No, I'm talking more about the story being destroyed. Now with most adaptations of things, it's expected that they're going to be changing things to fit the medium, or the showrunner's interpretation or take on it. I don't have to agree with it to understand, since there are plenty of examples when it comes to books, for example, from anything from The Lord of the Rings to Harry Potter to the butchery that was the Witcher Netflix series.
Fuck.
And of course, everything in between. And not all of them are being done for the better. My main issue here is that they seem to be spending a lot of time on certain details and then completely glossing over others. Like, they'll go as far as creating a shot for shot of how someone knocked on a door, or how they'd shade the wood on the wall a certain way because it was a certain brown in the game. Yet they skip over huge story beats. One of the main ones for me in the opening scene is Joel confessing to Tommy about everything he did in the Seattle hospital. For me, that's extremely important for the rest of the show, and they just don't do it. Or the absolute shit show that is Joel's death, with him being with Dina rather than Tommy. I know the reason was because Tommy was in the town fighting, and I actually did quite enjoy it, and I enjoy Tommy as a character in this. Despite not looking like Tommy, his acting is quite good, unlike others in the show. But the problem is this change alters the entire feel and the journey from then on. For example, we don't have Dina and Ellie become a couple because they never go out on patrol together and they don't get stuck taking shelter. Or the fact that when they are stuck taking shelter, they're in Eugene's place where they find the weed, they have a bit of a smoke and share a romance. And while they were stuck, Dina explains how Eugene taught her things about electronics and how to repair things, which comes into play later in the story. Or a small thing, but I still hate it, is that Eugene dies of old age in the game, but for no good reason he is now killed by Joel, just to create some exposition dump with the therapist to explain so many things between Joel and Ellie, and basically treating the audience like they're idiots by spelling everything out. Just let the man die in peace. He's one of the only few who managed to die somewhat peacefully in such a harsh and shitty world. But anyway, without that scene between Dina and Ellie, everything in the show just feels weird and off with their relationship, as they're still just in the friend zone for months. Whereas in the game they've been together for months now, which I wouldn't have a problem with if they were just deciding to go a different direction in the show, but they're not. So everything they do is just jarring and unearned, especially the way they do it. It feels so shoehorned in, like it was written last minute, and because of that the relationship always feels a bit off or forced between them. But then again, during the podcast, when the director/creator himself says that Dina and Ellie's relationship is a kind of child-parent dynamic, what else can you expect? But enough about that, because that could be a full video in itself. But the thing that really bothered me is in season 1, the key moment between Joel and Ellie, when Joel finally realises Ellie might be immune. They're in the subway and Ellie doesn't have a mask and Joel is wondering why she's not choking and coughing. Now, for some reason in the show, they just skip over spores or anything like that in general, and I really don't see any good reason why. It could have been a quick 15-second scene with Joel in the mask and it would explain everything. So then when it gets to the episode of Ellie finally coming after Nora, it's like they almost feel like the creators and writers were like, shit, we never established spores, that they exist. And like, do you mean to tell me after 20 plus years in the apocalypse, with people like Jackson and the Wolves with their army of people have only stumbled upon spores now, and conveniently the day or the night of Ellie coming after Nora? It's things like this that really bring down the show for me, because at the very least it just comes off as lazy and sloppy. And like I said, if you want to make your own interpretation, that's fine, but you're not, and it's just so jarring. I wouldn't be happy about it if that was your choice, but to just butcher the coherence and the story beats, it just makes no sense to me. Especially when they're bringing it in for no reason anyway. Which brings me to my final point to keep this video short. Tommy and Jesse. To start with, Tommy, why are they bringing him into Seattle this late in the season? I'll be interested to see how it pays off, but right now it feels like such a ridiculous decision. And it all goes back to messing up the opening scene with Joel recapping what happened to Tommy. Because of this, Tommy doesn't know what happened at the hospital. He doesn't go with Joel on parole, so he doesn't know why or who killed him, since for some reason Dina keeps that a secret. Then he doesn't go after them once he finds out, which is a big part of the story, as Ellie and Dina find Tommy's trail several times, and it's a glimpse into how brutal Ellie is going to need to become to get her revenge, as Tommy is torturing people and killing everyone his way just as Joel used to. He also causes a lot of issues for the Wolves, which gives Dina and Ellie an idea of where they need to go when listening in on the radio, and helps scatter patrols so Ellie can move through Seattle a little bit easier. But in the show, they're just having Dina be a genius and triangulating to a T exactly where they need to go next. So to now see Tommy showing up on what's basically day 3 now just bothers me quite a bit. Why not have him go off like he did in the game? It could have happened after the town meeting when all the votes came up as no, and Tommy could have ventured off for himself after that in a rage. Jesse I have less issues with, other than the fact that he finds them just in the nick of time because he somehow stumbles upon the theater, which is just ridiculous. I know in the game something similar happens, but at least he was heading towards the sound of gunfire and action, but overall I have enjoyed his character. It's just a little let down for the sake of dumb writing and convenience. Anyway, I think I've said more than enough for now, or I'll just keep going with more and more issues that pop into my head. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.